Sri Radhashtakam, where at the very end Rupa Goswami is praying to Krishna that he please be satisfied with whoever nicely recites these 8 verses and fulfills all their desires. So if you want to have all your desires fulfilled, you can join nicely reciting. And I hope the technology works, because sometimes it doesn't. Okay. Let's hope it works.
I worship Sri Radhika, who with the splendid beauty of her restless eyes places a kanjana, black-tailed bird, turning to every direction, who is the molly flower that attracts the bumblebee of the Prince of Braja's heart, and who is deeply filled with all transcendental virtues. I worship Sri Radhika, who spreads the fame of her father, Vrishabhanu Maharaj, throughout the world, and who plays with her girlfriends and the Prince of Braja in her own beautiful and fragrant pond. I worship Sri Radhika, whose smiling, submissive face is initiated in a vow to subdue the glories of the full autumnal moon, the Lord of the Lilies, whose erotic pastimes are expanded by Krishna's naughty sidelong glances, and who wears waves of elegance on her body. I worship Sri Radhika, whose braided hair, which is filled with various kinds of blooming flowers, resembles the spread out tail of a peacock that is dizzy of amorous feelings, and whose spotless cheeks are colored red with the pawn that emanated from Krishna's mouth. I worship Sri Radhika, whose heart is sprinkled by pure, intimate affection for Lalita, whose all-round mood of friendship for Vishaka is well known, who is a box filled with priceless jewels of love for Krishna, and who's sweetly playful. I worship Sri Radhika, who was crowned with a ceremonial bathing as the queen of incomparably glorious Vrindavan, who is the presiding goddess of the Kartika month, which is the best time of the year, who is the chief of all the innumerable dear gopis of Mukunda, and whose fame destroys all the sins of the world. I worship Sri Radhika, who looks upon even the backs of the extreme borders of Hari's toenails as being dearer to her than millions of hearts. Who is the Guru who initiates all the joyful restless-eyed girls in the art of cleverness, and whose glories are great. I worship Sri Radhika, whose luster is of pure gold, like vermilion crushed on a golden slab, whose adolescent beauty is surrounded by waves of sweetness, who gets goose pimples of ecstasy when she's embraced by Hari's arm, and who wears a bright crimson dress. The moon of auspiciousness on the bank of the daughter of the sun, Yamuna, Sri Krishna Chandra, will be satisfied with whoever nicely recites this best of prayers, Radhashtakam, that is a spotless reservoir of erotic sweetness, and he will fulfill all the reciter's desires.
Or anything, but they invested some time and made a nice recording. And the reciter is Ananda Vrindavan, who lives in Indore, and Prema Tarangini is the English reciter. Then they have different persons for each of the languages that are going to read the translation in their language. This is a little video. It comes at the end of this morning's class. This is, of course, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who the artist is displaying that he is Radha and Krishna. So he's a lover of Radha, a lover as Radha loves Krishna. Pretty clever, huh? And that's the end of our presentation on Radhakund. Tomorrow morning, this evening's class doesn't have much to do with Radharani, because the evening classes, what I've been planning is to stay with Krishna's Brajalila. And I was thinking, because the time that it took to do this other, we'll discuss Balaram's killing of Pralambasura. There were two demons that Balaram killed. Pralambasura was one of them. Who was the other one? Which one? Dhenukasura. Dhenukasura. So that it's simple. The presentation is simple. This is Krishna's childhood. So emphasis goes to the rasa of friendship with the cowherd boys. And then also the forest, the exchange that Krishna has with the birds and the trees and the thises and the that's, everything in the Vrindavan forest. That's where this story begins. Vrindavan is a very beautiful place. It is filled with birds, animals, and flowers. Throughout the forest, there are many waterfalls, sounding very pleasant, and crystal clear lakes, dotted with colorful blooming lotus flowers. The spray from the waterfalls makes the air fresh, clean, and cool. The streams and lakes make the grass grow lusciously green. The cows are very happy because there is so much fresh grass for them to eat. You see one cow down there in the lower left corner. Should have a lot more cows in this picture. The air is filled with the sweet scent of the flowers and the songs of the birds. The peacocks are crowing and dancing happily among the flowers. The deer wander peacefully throughout the forest scenery. The croaking of the frogs adds to the sounds of the forest, making it even more pleasant. So that's the forest scene. Then we're going to go to the boys. Krishna and his older brother Balaram wander in this beautiful forest along with their cowherd boyfriends and their cows. They decorate themselves with leaves, peacock feathers, and garlands of flowers. The boys sing, dance, and wrestle with each other. Krishna dances and plays his flute. Some of the boys sing, while others clap or bugle on buffalo horns. They praise Krishna, saying, "Krishna, you dance so nicely." Walking arm in arm, bowing to each other, and having great fun, they march deeper into the delightful forest. So we're in Vrindavan with the cowherd boys taking the cows to pasture, but actually the real business is playing, and the cows just follow along. As the day goes on, they continue to play. Sometimes they play blind man's bluff, running in all directions and trying to tag each other. Sometimes they play hide and seek. They climb up the trees, run over the hills, or hide behind the rocks. In the background you see the cowherd boys doing like that. Sometimes the boys pretend to be a king with his servants. Krishna and Balaram enjoy playing these games with their friends each day in the wonderful forest of Vrindavan. They love to imitate the forest deer and the many kinds of birds. So one boy is taking flight with his arms spread like a bird taking off, and the other looking like a deer with his antlers. They would sometimes jump around like frogs, sometimes play various jokes, sometimes ride in swings, and sometimes imitate monarchs. So the swing pastime is not only Radha Krishna. The cowherd boys, they like swings too. They also have fun swinging from the vines underneath the gorgeous canopy of tree branches. While the other boys were dancing, O king, Krishna and Balaram would sometimes accompany them with song and instrumental music, and sometimes the two lords would praise the boys, saying, "Very good, very good." In this way, Krishna and Balaram played all sorts of well-known games as they wandered among the rivers, hills, valleys, bushes, trees, and lakes of Vrindavan. It's a B.G. Sharma painting on the left side. That's the cowherd boys just want to be with Krishna. And the one on the upper right is wrestling, and one observing and supervising, and Krishna losing, so he has to play the horse to carry the winner. Krishna surrounded himself with forest animals and regularly exchanged with them directly. This is a summer season event, but it says specifically it appeared to be like spring. Sometimes they would just relax, and Krishna would play his flute, and all living entities are charmed by Krishna's flute, including the cowherd boys. So they would just sit and listen. Sometimes the cowherd boys would play with bilva or kumbha fruits, and sometimes with handfuls of amalaki fruits. At other times they would play the games of trying to touch one another, or trying to identify somebody while one is blindfolded. And sometimes they would imitate animals and birds. Now it's real easy to see what they're doing in this drawing, except the one that's in the front right. I've made this presentation in some places, and people know what this game is. You know what anybody here know what the game is? Have you seen it before? Not seen it before. I was told by some, they did this when they were kids. So the game goes like, as I asked, they put their hands on each other's shoulders, and then a third person holds on to those two shoulders like they're branches of a tree, and they swing back and forth, and then the boys raise their arms and lower their arms, and it's like they call it carrying in whatever the local language is. That's the game, is carrying. You've heard of that one? You've heard about it. Apparently the artist knew about it. Now, one day, as they played, a great demon named Pralambasura sneaked into the forest disguised as a friend. He hid behind a tree, watching the boys, thinking of a plan to kidnap Krishna and Balarama. That's his plan, that's in his thoughts, how he's going to take one away and smash the other one, but he's making like he's one of the boys. Now, commentary says one of the boys had to be absent on that particular day, something to do with the family, something, and so he knew, and he was able to manifest a form that looked just like that cowherd boy. And the other is that immediately Krishna knew. So his imitation, he's like the real thing, but he's not the real thing. And he has evil intention in doing so. Those features of the consciousness of Pralambasura. Krishna, who is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, knew what Pralambasura was thinking, because he's super soul. He knows what everyone's thinking. And so he began to make a plan to kill him. Since the Supreme Lord Krishna, who had appeared in the Dasharha dynasty, sees everything, he understood who the demon was. Still, the Lord pretended to accept the demon as a friend, while at the same time seriously considering how to kill him. Now, as far as I can gather, the Pralambasura is being depicted over here, this fellow that looks like he's not part of them, but trying to be part of them and wants to be involved, but he's trying to figure out how to do his dirty business. So Krishna has a plan. Krishna then called all his friends together for a new game. Let's divide up into 2 even teams and fight against each other in pairs. he said. Kind of like, wrestling, but everybody wrestles. The cowherd boys divided into two groups, and the two lords became the leaders of the two groups. So there we see the two groups. On one side there's Krishna, the other side there's Balaram, and each of them have their own group. And very purposely, Krishna placed Pralambasura on the other side of Balaram, or on his side. While Balaram challenged one of the boys to a fight, Krishna welcomed Pralambasura. He pretended the demon was a friend by including him in the game. While they played, some of the boys took care of the cows. That's what's going on the left side. In case you're wondering what's up with the cows. Half of the boys, along with Pralambasura, took the side of Krishna. The others took the side of Balaram. Then the fights began. Notice up in the sky there's some demigods. And these are just little boys. It's not like, something brutal or bloody or something. They just do what boys sometimes do. Playful wrestling. Then they played the childhood game. This is another way of saying the same thing. Hari Na Kridanam, in which each boy paired off with an opponent and all the boys simultaneously attacked their respected rivals. Okay. There's Krishna having to carry the winning Sridham on his shoulders. The boys who lost the fight had to carry the winners on their shoulders. Krishna, by his sweet will, lost his fight to Sridham. Pralambasura lost his fight to Balaram. And Bhadrasena lost to Vrishab. So there's the pairs. Balaram looks, he's straddling his opponent there. That's Pralamba. And Krishna and Sridham. And Bhadrasena and Vrishab. Those are that have to carry the winners, is showing. And so they're beginning to start the carrying of the winners. The boys played various games involving carriers and passengers. That's this other term. The painting looks like Bandiravan, the Bandira tree in Bandiravan, a very large banyan tree. And has a little sitting place around the banyan tree like that. Defeated, the Supreme Lord Krishna carried Sridham. Now that's, the effulgent Krishna on our left. Because on the color picture is very clear, that's Krishna. And the other, Balaram at the far right, is with Pralambasura. Pralamba carried Balaram. This is the same message. According to the rules of the game, Krishna had to carry Sridham, Vrishab had to carry Bhadrasena, Pralambasura, who was pretending to be a cowherd boy, had to carry Balaram on his shoulders. Now there they are on the bottom right, and there they go off into the forest. Pralambasura wanted to kidnap Balaram without any trouble from Krishna. With Balaram on his shoulders, he ran far away from where everyone else was playing. Now the commentary says in the course of all these activities, he started to become a little bit nervous or wary about Krishna. And he thought, he's the lesser person, Balaram, so let me take Balaram. So he's carrying Balaram and carrying Balaram and carrying Balaram. And in course of time, Balaram becomes heavier and heavier and heavier. Balaram, being all-powerful, began to make himself heavier and heavier. Pralambasura began to get weaker and could not keep his real form hidden. Being transformed in this drawing, Balaram wondered, how strange that this cowherd boy is changing. Now, he's omniscient, yet he's playing the part of one who's not, or sometimes plays the part of one who is not, and sometimes he plays the part of one who's omniscient. But he was so much in the mood, as they had been doing all morning long and day after day, for that matter, was playing and playing and playing and playing. It was just playing. Now, Krishna recognized right away, but at least for Leela purposes, Balaram didn't recognize right away. But he started to recognize when his shape changed. The demon now appeared in his original horrible form. He was as high as the sky and had fiery eyes and sharp teeth. Suddenly, Balaram, this was not a friend, but a demon who wanted to kill him. And he's got his right fist raised. Look out. When Balaram hits you with his fist, it's over. Some other interesting paintings. Lord Balaram, who carries the plow weapon, saw the gigantic body of the demon as he moved swiftly in the sky, with his blazing eyes, fiery hair, terrible teeth, reaching toward his scowling brows, and an amazing effulgence generated by his armlet's crown and earrings. The Lord seemed to be a little frightened. Again, these various emotions we should understand. It's stimulations of ecstatic love. It's not the frightened that we may feel, or the whatever it's, or forgetfulness or bewilderment or something. It's not like that. This rasa is combining with that rasa, and the combination results in a certain emotion. And they're enjoyable emotions. Remembering the actual situation, the fearless Balaram understood that the demon was trying to kidnap him and take him away from his companions. You look below, there's Krishna and his companions. And over the far right one, it's just Krishna, but Krishna knows what's going on. The Lord, as Balaram, then became furious and struck the demon's head with his hard fist, just as Indra, the king of demigods, strikes a mountain with his thunderbolt weapon. He got really big, bigger and bigger and bigger, and then he started flying in the sky. This painting shows you really high in the sky. And Balaram with his right fist raised and clappers him. With his powerful fist, Balaram hit the head of the demon just as a thunderbolt strikes the top of a mountain. And he's finished just with one blow of Balaram's fist. Whew, look at that guy. Thus, smashed by Balaram's fist, Pralamba's head immediately cracked open. The demon vomited blood from his mouth and lost all consciousness, and then, with a great noise, he fell lifeless on the ground, like a mountain, devastated by Indra. If If you look in the back left, behind that tree over there, there's cowherd boys and cows. And they're cheering Balarama on, get him, finish him. The cowherd boys were most astonished to see how powerful Balaram had killed the demon Pralamba, and they exclaimed, excellent, excellent. Now he's way above the ground. You see below him, on the very bottom of the painting, the cowherd boys with their arms raised, watching another BBT painting. After being struck by the fist of Balaram, Pralamba fell lifeless to the ground, making a loud crash. Blood poured from his mouth. Hearing the loud noise, all the boys ran quickly to see what had happened. Arriving on the scene, the boys were amazed at the ghastly sight, while Krishna began praising his brother Balaram. Well done, well done. Everyone began congratulating Balaram, began to congratulate Balaram. Overwhelmed with affection for him, they began to hug him with great fondness as the demigods in the heavens joyfully showered flowers on Balaram. There you see lots of flowers up in the sky coming down. And the cowherd boys are amazed. With the Danuka, the other demon that Balaram killed, the cowherd boys kind of put him up to it. Meaning, the commentary says, they're used to seeing Krishna kill demons, but they know that Balaram has great strength, so they wanted to see Balaram. What was he going to do with Danuka? So they were also really happy and impressed with Balaram's strength in dealing with Pralamba. Then, Krishna and Balaram, along with their cowherd friends and cows, made their way back to their homes after a long and exciting day in Vrindavan. And as usual, when they're way back, they're singing and composing songs and reciting the songs about Krishna's pastimes, not only that day, but otherwise. We've been reading this, a very musical group, the Brajbasis. This is one of those paintings that shows the Leela in one painting, or many of the parts. Here's the wrestling. Here's the winners being carried by the losers. Here's Pralamba carrying Balaram away, up on the upper left. Down here is he crashed on the ground. And up here is Krishna dividing the two groups from Balaram's side and Krishna's side to engage in the game of wrestling. Last slide. The sinful Pralamba, having been killed, the demigods felt extremely happy, and they showered flower garlands upon Balaram and praised the excellence of his deed. Remember, they had requested, going way back, they had requested Lord Vishnu to appear in this world and help by eliminating the demoniac population, the demoniac kings. It was making it very difficult for Earth just to sustain. So Vishnu agreed, and he appeared in this way. Two more things. There's Bhakti Vinod Thakur's description of what the demons killed in Braja, how they represent Krishna's removing obstacles on the path of bhakti for the practitioners, the sadhakas. And this is the painting that shows that one. Desire, lust, that's what the text is above those persons says, right? Lust, anger and greed. For lust, desire for personal gain. What does it say in the top?
Kam, mohit, lobh, mohit, and mad mohit.
Okay, kam, lodh, moha. Okay. I don't know what the deer are jumping over their heads, but maybe that's wallpaper. I don't know. Lusty inclinations, desire for personal gain and honor. And the BBT painting on the right is the decisive moment where the soul is going to go up or down from the human form of life, being lured by lust and the desire to try to improve and gain and so forth. And then there's another path up here by saintly association, the path back to Godhead. And a clever illustration. This fellow here is taking advantage of the weaker person to carry him to get to the top of this raised seat. And then after he gets him to the top of the raised seat, he gets rid of the other guy that helped him. Lusty inclinations, desire for personal gain and honor. The example given by Bhaktivinoda Thakur is the ill-motivated Duryodhana. He's like Pralamba in personality. And last is a description from Garga Samhita when Narada is narrating to King Bahulashva about the Krishna's Braja Leela. Almost in every case, the king asked Narada, who was this person in his previous life? Who was Pralamba? Interesting. Pralamba in his previous life was a Vishnu Bhakta. Very interesting. To worship Lord Shiva, one day, the Yaksha king, Kuvera, had the Yakshas place here and there in his beautiful forest many Raksha amulets made of flowers. When some of the flowers were stolen, the powerful Yaksha king Kuvera spoke a curse. He said, any demigod or human that takes any of these flowers will become a demon. That is my curse. Then, the Gandharva Vijaya, who was the son of Huhu, walking on a pilgrimage to many holy places and singing Lord Vishnu's glories as he went, came to Chaitraratha forest. Unaware of the curse, the Gandharva, veena in hand, took some of the Sumana flowers. At once he left his Gandharva body and became a demon. Wonder what he did with his veena. Became a demon. So the Gandharva's name was Vijaya. Vijaya went right away to Kuvera. At once he took shelter of the great soul Kuvera. With folded hands he bowed down and presented his appeal. Pleased with him, Kuvera blessed him. You are a peaceful-hearted devotee of Lord Vishnu. Oh, respectful one, please don't lament. At the end of Dwapara Yuga, In the Bandiravan forest, by the Jamuna shore, you'll attain liberation by Balaram's hand. Of this there is no doubt. In this way, Huhu's Gandharva son became a great demon, and by Kubera's grace, attained liberation. So the indirect route is advisable, although it came out all right. But to become a demon is not so good. But he got this benediction that he would be delivered by Krishna. And so he was delivered by Krishna, by Balaram. By Balaram. Okay. So any discussion on Balaram's killing of Pralambasura?
Hare Krishna Maharaj. In the beginning, you mentioned Krishna from Dasharha dynasty. So we have always heard that he's from Yadu dynasty. So I don't have much clarity about this. So
He's just another one of the kings in that dynasty, a predecessor king to Yadu.
okay, Maharaj. And then, was Pralambasura intending to kill Balram? I was thinking, why did he take Balram when his intention was to kill Krishna?
His intention was to kidnap both.
Oh,
The background from the Acharyas is Pralamba was very powerful, and Kamsa knew he was very powerful, and Pralamba volunteered because he saw Kamsa was big anxiety because everybody he had sent was killed. And Pralamba's very powerful. He came and appealed and said, "This is Garga Samhita." He said, "Pralamba, you're like a moth flying into fire." And he said, "Just give me the chance and I'll show you." He said, "Do as you wish." So, but he was very powerful, specifically sent by Kamsa. And the mission was, both the brothers were involved in, destroying those, particularly Krishna, but Balaram was his sidekick or his protector, so when he got there by being in the presence of Krishna, because he was a Vishnu Bhakti in his previous life, this is commentary now, he had some apprehension about messing with Krishna. So he thought better to mess with Balaram. Wasn't a good idea.
and lastly, Maharaj, the story of the previous birth of Pralambasura, I'm finding it little bit difficult to understand because, his intention was very good. He wanted to offer those flowers to Lord Vishnu. Then why did that curse act on him? Is there any more story behind that?
No, there's no more story. It's just, I could just say what was already said. There's no more story. This is described in only one place that I'm aware of, and the only one place is Garga Samhita. And it says what it says. It doesn't say more than what it says. There's not a backstory behind why. when great personalities like Kuvera do things, it's inspired. They're acting somehow as instruments of Krishna's Leela. So he was doing something instrumental, that he becomes a demon, and he then is confronting Balaram, and Balaram is removing demons, and he liberates Pralambasura. Pastime. Inspired. So Kuvera did what he did, inspired by Krishna's potencies from within his heart. Not ordinary personalities like Kuvera. Anyone else? Yes?
Maharaj, if I'm correctly remembering, the crocodile in Gajendra Moksha Leela in his previous birth was Huhu. I'm wondering if there is a connection between the two.
Well, I don't know, and there may be more than one Huhu. Although it's not a very common name. And it may have been a different different yuga, or a different yuga cycle, for that matter. Because Gajendra's not in the same yuga. You have a good memory. You have something over in the corner.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, thank you very much. There are two things that I wanted to share.
That was pretty abrupt. While we're waiting, the discussion tomorrow is Krishna rescuing Nanda Maharaj from the abode of Varuna. It's a whole chapter summary. It's very, very, very well done. This is quite simple. The other one was far more involved. Go ahead.
Yeah, Maharaj, I was just thinking about two things that we learned very nicely today, and yesterday also and today also. It gives me a very good idea of how the two lords, Lord Balaram and Lord Krishna, are playing their roles, so to speak, in the past times where they have an active role to play. They do take the active role, and the other just becomes a very passive spectator. Yesterday we saw that Lord Balaram was so concerned about Krishna's safety that he and the other cowherd boys, they became unconscious. And today we see that because the pastime was to be enacted by Balaram, so Krishna was totally passive, and passive meaning he did not kill Pralambasura, and in that sense it is very significant for me that I have to play the role that is given to me and not to play somebody else's role. That was
That sounds like a verse in Bhagavad Gita.
yeah. And the second was related to, we just saw an offense that is committed at the strength of chanting of the holy name. This would be a very good example for me that Pralambasura in his previous life was actually singing the glories of Lord Vishnu, and at that same time he was plucking flowers which he was not supposed to.
Yeah, so don't go plucking flowers in people's gardens, especially if it's Kuvera's.
Yes. So,
Then
yeah.
watch your step.
Yeah. Thank you, Maharaj.
In the beginning of the Hare Krishna movement, the devotees used to do that all the time. Their idea is everything belongs to Krishna. And, boldly, they would go to people's front lawns and pick all the flowers. In India, there are trees that have flowers and people go to, but, they're not like on somebody's lawn and in their garden. It's just a common thing. But in America, you can be arrested. They certainly have the police come and scold you. But the devotees did it all the time. All the time. All the time. And it was, they gave the Hare Krishna movement a bad name for that. Although, they're we're above the law because it belongs to Krishna. These people are just, in Maya, who offered all to Krishna. Disrespecting, didn't go on too long, but it was a thing for a while. Something else? And over here. Okay. Thank you. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.